Microphones. I'll call this meeting to order. This is Town Council public hearing on December 5th, 2023 at 7 o'clock. Madam Clerk, do we need to take roll or what do we do?
It's a hearing. You can just call it to order and then turn it over to me. So.
Madam Clerk, go for it.
So, good evening, everyone. So I included, just for your guys' information, it's part of the agenda, what it is that the statute requires town council to consider. And that way you have it as well if anybody has comments, because that's it. I just thought it would be helpful for everybody to understand what the statute's looking for. So this is a public hearing to consider comments on the Rehman Hafeez Annexation. It's per statute 15-1-402. Before any territory is eligible for annexation, the governing body of any city or town at a hearing, as provided in Wyoming statute 15-1-405, shall find that an annexation of the area is for the protection of the health, safety, and welfare of persons residing in the area and in the city or town. The urban development of the area sought to be annexed would constitute a natural, geographical, economical, and social part of the annexing city or town. The area sought to be annexed is a logical and feasible addition to the annexing city or town, and the extension of basic and other services customarily available to residents of the city or town shall, within reason, be available to the area proposed to be annexed. The area sought to be annexed is contiguous with or adjacent to the annexing city or town, or the area is owned by the city. If the town does not own the property, if the town does not own or operate its own electric utility, its governing body is prepared to issue one or more franchises as necessary to serve the annexed area. And then it says that we have to notify everybody. We have some pretty legal restrictions. So certified mail was sent to the owner of the property and the utilities by registered mail 20 business days in advance of tonight's hearing. And all property owners within 300 feet of the proposed annexation was also notified by first-class mail. So then it goes on in here to define what contiguity means and what a business day means. So I won't go into that. So I think, Mr. Mayor, if you'd like to take petitioners' comments first.
Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Cottam, do you mind starting off, or would you rather have Marlo?
I think Marlo is...
Mr. Sherbel, do you mind? Thank you. And if there's any documentation you want me to pull up, I've got the petition here and all these other things. So.
Is this on?
Yep, you have to hit the little button.
Button on the front. There you
There
go.
you
Red
go.
is on. Okay.
Thank you.
You might bring up the annexation plot. We can just talk about some of the things that the clerk has just talked about. So the land in the dashed hatching, if you kind of, there you go, proposed annexation. The Elk Meadows annexation was completed about 2 years ago, and Alpine Meadows, which is all around two sides of this property, the south of this property and the west side of this property, is already a town boundary. And part of the east side is town boundary. Actually, the whole east side, because Highway 26 and 89 that goes north is part of the town and was annexed 4 or 5 years ago when you annexed some property to the north part of the town. So this area fits the definition of the statutory requirements that the clerk just read. It is a natural extension. It borders the town. It's not an island, but almost. It's bordered by 3 sides. And so it is a feasible and natural extension. There are utilities around the edges of this property, both in Highway 89 and 26 and in Wintergreen Street. And there are utilities on the north side of this in the County Road 100, Old Alpine County Road. And so I don't know of any need to extend any utilities to this property by the town. And in most cases, that is done by if it's needed, it's done by the petitioner that is annexing or the developer. With that, I would probably open it to questions that you might have of me, of this property. Again, we fit the statutory requirements. We're seeking we're requesting to be annexed. You have a procedure to do that, and I think you're all aware of what that is. And I'll be glad to answer any questions that I can.
If you don't mind me clarifying, so for the proposed annexation, when the engineers looked at it, they looked at tying on at the closest point, the easiest point, which may or may not be, when the property gets developed down the road, it may or may not be where they actually do it at. But for the sake of this exercise, we had to pick that closest point. We assume that the water will come in off of a water main, and that typical water connection fees will be paid. The point of connection, though, just for clarification, for sewer, I believe it's between 177 and 178. Can you see that, Frank? Is it between the easement on that map in front of you? Is it, I think it's between 177 and 178.
I think it's right there.
There is, and there is about a 20-foot piece of pipe that runs up between those two properties. And so they would actually have to tie into our utility easement at that location per this exercise.
So there's two areas. In Wintergreen, I think you have a sewer line on the south side of the street that goes to the new hospital clinic.
Yeah,
It looks
So-
like it's underneath us on the opposite side of the street. if I'm
It
not
is on the
mistaken.
south side. That would probably have to be a bore underneath the town's road, but it is accessible on the south side
yeah.
of Wintergreen.
So, but for
It
just,
is also accessible in Bugling Elk Drive.
Yeah.
Which I think is what you were mentioning. Is that right?
no.
Where were
No,
you
there is a
mentioning?
gravity, there is a gravity main
Oh,
here.
over in
and so-
Foxtail, yes.
Yes, so.
That's another place.
Yeah, so that, and the engineers estimate that connection, by the cost of them, if they go that way, to be about $50,000.
Please.
So there's an existing utility easement on
Yes.
Alpine Meadows that connects over to this
Yeah.
road and utilities
Yeah.
to be used. Then if you take this away, there's a sewer that starts here right now, is being pumped.
Mhm.
And we looked at with the town of possibly connecting this sometime, so that it's gravity flow. I don't, this was previous
Yep.
administration, that
Yes.
some of you were here. And then I believe there is a sewer line on the other side of Wintergreen. There is a water line all the way up here that comes into this development, and access is right next to the property. So I think all telecommunications and power are along in the highway right away also.
Yeah.
I think it's all pretty close to there.
It's all really close. It's
Yeah.
right bordering the property in all cases for both town utilities and dry utilities.
Okay. I have a couple questions. We'll start with, I just want to make sure everyone knows that there is this kind of island here that we have talked about today. This is
Correct.
owned by Silver Star. We need to, according to the research that we've done in the statute for the, let's see, Jim, you could help me with this here, but the statute
403.
403 basically says that you cannot, do you know the exact line?
Well, no, it says that, that the petition for annexation may be initiated by a written petition filed with the clerk, and it has to have, will go down to, signed by and dated by a majority of the landowners owning a majority of the area sought to be annexed. That's on
Oh, okay.
What,
A1,
A1.
yes.
A1, here we go. Majority of the area is sought to be annexed, excluding public streets, alleys, and tax exempt property.
So the way I look at it is that
area that's owned by Silver Star is within this area that you're seeking to annex. If we don't include that in, then we have,
But islands are okay.
well.
That, it's up to the town. I mean, they're
the town
legally
does not like
okay.
an island.
Well, what I'm trying to say is yes, they could be approached to see if they would like to be annexed into the town. I don't know whether they would or not. Legally, an island, if the petition, as I read the statute, if the petition is initiated by a landowner, then an island can be created. But if the petition is initiated by the town, you cannot create an island.
Okay,
That's in 404, I think.
that's correct, but the problem is we don't want to create an island.
Well, and that's a choice that the council has to make, but legally, we can annex the Hafeez property without theirs. We can go to Silver Star later and see if they want to come in. I'm not sure it needs to hold up this particular annexation.
Yeah. I think, and I only speak for myself on here, I definitely would like to see if we can bring them in as a petitioner along with you guys and just add them as a petitioner basically and see if we can make this whole process streamlined and bring them in at the same time.
Okay?
And I don't know who would initiate those talks, but I'm sure you guys can.
Town may have more
Oh, you think-
effect,
Poll?
You think we have more pull than you?
more effect than myself, yes.
If you
but
give me a
if you
number
would
of
like
somebody I
us-
should contact, I'd be more than happy to
I
contact
would get
them.
a hold of Barbara Session, who is the CEO.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Um,
I have her contact.
I think Jeremy's been working with Silver Star on easements in your community. Mr. Larson, Councilman Larson, and has contact there.
Okay.
But I would go right to the CEO, or the chairman of the board is Alan Hoops. Probably get you a contact number there too. If
Yeah.
you would like us to do that, I would be more than happy to, but I think that my own opinion is the town has more power and authority than I ever will have.
Why weren't they approached at the beginning?
Didn't think it was needed.
Okay,
They may not want to pay your extra tax. I don't know. I haven't talked to them about this at all. It wasn't a necessary thing, so we didn't approach them. If you would like us to do that, we certainly can, or if you would like to approach them, say, hey, you want to get on board? 3 or 4 years ago, you remember, I think it was Alpine Flats came to the town and suggested you annex Airport Drive, Old Alpine Drive, excuse me, which you chose not to at the time, but again, that's something you ought to look at, from my opinion, at some point in time.
You're talking about County Road 100?
Correct.
Okay.
Old Alpine, Old Alpine Road.
Sure. Another question I has this particular property, have they been contacted as a potential, being another petitioner to come in during this annexation process?
I have not contacted. I have had discussions with the owner of Lot 1, Zai Hafeez, but we didn't. She didn't want to come in when we did Mr. Lotshaw's property, which is Bugling Elk. She did dedicate the street on her side of the lot, but was not interested in annexation. I didn't even think about either of these properties. In this case, we were just working on one piece of property to come in.
Yeah.
They tend to be a domino, one at a time. Sometimes you can't get everybody on the same
Yeah.
wavelength at the same time.
And I imagine with you sending out, with us sending out all the information, all these property owners realize this is going on.
Yes.
And maybe,
Have you heard from Silver Star? I mean, they would have been within 300 feet, and I'm sure they
correct.
got.
Yeah, we have not heard from them.
No, and they were notified by certified mail.
I guess my question would be, if we can kill 3 birds with 1 stone, why not? So if someone from,
I've
Your party-
spoken to her,
oh, you have,
yes, and that's the letter I forwarded you earlier today that I'll be reading later.
oh, okay.
I thought
At
I
her request.
recognized Island.
Yeah.
Okay,
At her request.
okay.
Does anyone have any other questions for Mr. Sherbill?
Marlo, do you or Dale know, maybe just, is there a history there why Silver Star is an island within the property?
If you can,
I can tell you the history. It was deeded that way by Wardell Klinger owned the property and deeded. It was before I got here in the late seventies, so I don't know exactly what happened, but Silver Star was looking for a place. That is one of their major hubs for the Alpine area and the north of Star Valley. Why they chose that and why they described it the way it was, I do not know the history of that. I just know that it was originally just a small piece hooked to the county road. The Klingers owned all of the property we're talking about going east. And I don't think they owned the property west, which is Alpine Meadows now. And so, and they didn't need a big piece, I guess, so that's about all I can give you.
Do they have, I assume they have easements to access? and-
They as in,
I'm sorry?
they as in Silver Star,
Yes.
have easements to what?
Access
To
their
access
property.
their property.
Yeah,
So it's an
they
island.
border the county road,
So
and they own into the county road.
technically, and
So
it's,
it's
That's
an
not
island,
what it
it's a
shows
U?
on the plat.
It's well, it depends on how you want to look at it. No, they were an exception in the deed,
Okay,
as I recall,
So-
which created an island and not a U.
gotcha.
technically.
But they do have,
Where's it?
they do border the county road and have legal access, if that's your other question.
Where's today's map that came?
I can get that one.
Thanks, Monica.
So technically, the property that's annexing in owns half to the middle of County Road 100.
Correct, except in the, well, yeah.
Right, and so then there's a 20-foot piece that would be from the middle of the road to the property. And this map actually shows that, so if you guys would like to come around and take a look at it, you might be able to see it better from the other side.
For some reason, they didn't start it on the right-of-way line, and they didn't go to the center line of the property line. The property line of Klingers was, I believe, the center of the road. And so,
This is a blow-up of that area.
it's just been that way. It's weird. I can't give you a history.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yes, ma'am.
But it is a little bit, it is not,
So they have some equipment on there for
yeah, they have a major hub.
like a hub, okay.
They've got a cell tower that's not in use currently.
It's their
Gotcha.
fiber hub for Alpine.
Gotcha.
If it blew up, you guys would be without telecommunications. This is an important thing.
Yeah.
So as far as I understand. Not that anybody would blow it up, but
Right, right. I don't think that's what you meant.
that's not what I
You
mean.
didn't mean that.
No, they just
Fail.
put about $250,000 into that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an important piece of equipment for
Anywhere.
Silver Star administering telecommunications to Alpine and the whole area here.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Sherrill?
Zoning wise, did I read it's MRC?
Yes,
Okay.
What is it currently zoned in the county?
rural.
Rural?
There's two zones, three zones in the county,
Uh-huh.
rural and mixed.
It's mixed.
Excuse me, it's mixed.
mixed.
Okay,
It's blue.
that's what I thought I had read in. the
It's
email.
mixed, which is commercial and residential
Right.
in the county. The MCI that were, is it MCI or MCR?
Ours?
MCR,
Yeah, MRC.
yeah, MRC. I'm confusing towns.
You're good.
Yes.
tonight, so.
You're good.
Elk Meadows is that same zone, as well as the lots to the west, and Alpine Meadows, I believe, are the same MRC. To the south, I believe where the clinic is the same. Is that true?
I think that's
That is,
commercial.
Or are they just
yeah,
commercial?
MRC.
They're MRC also?
Yeah, and then we have, it's actually, it's showing on here, I don't know if this is right, light industrial.
Is the hatched one?
Yeah, I don't know.
I was thinking it was mostly surrounded by MRC.
Oh, you have the, you can put that layer on, oh, no, you can't, or in the town. You don't see it in the town, only in the county. I don't know if that map's correct.
Well, this is just the proposed zoning map.
Let me see.
I think this is from the master plan. On there, it's suggested as commercial, but right across the street is light industrial and mixed residential commercial, so that whole thing's kind
I think it's very similar zoning to what you have.
Yeah.
It's surrounded by pretty much MRC.
I think so.
Obviously, lot one that you were talking about, if it was to come in, it's in the mixed, in the county. The
Yep.
blue, what you have is blue right now.
Yep.
I checked the lots to the west, and I'm pretty sure they are MRC. And I know that, the lot shot development, lots 1 through 4, that was annexed as MRC.
Okay.
And I'm almost positive the clinic it's either commercial or MRC, one of the
Okay.
two. And I did not look that one up, so I'm not as firm.
I think it's commercial, but these are MRC here.
Yes,
So it's-
that's correct.
It's adjoining MRC.
It is.
Okay.
Two sides.
Any more questions for Mr. Sherbill?
And,
Then we'll take
and your
some
mixed
public
zone in the county is basically, it's an MRC. I mean, it's a mixed residential and business allowance in your mixed zone in the county, so
Okay.
very similar.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any public comment? Please come up to the microphone, please. Give us
Is
your
Dale
name and
gonna
address.
come up
I don't know if he's gonna,
Oh, I
maybe
have
he'll
some
come up.
questions.
he'll maybe come up during the special meeting. Is that your plan? Okay.
My name is Maria. Pardon me, I have two questions. What did you plan to put there once you annex it?
Yeah, please.
Because the second question relates to that from an infrastructure standpoint. So if Alpine Meadows, if you're tapping into the water, sewer, all the infrastructure of Alpine Meadows, can that support presumably some kind of a multi-person use? You're not talking an office building for one person or something. I imagine you're talking about something that's quite large with many people. So how will that infrastructure from Alpine Meadows support that?
Well, the infrastructure is actually town of Alpine, not Alpine Meadows any longer, because, and so there's an annexation report that speaks to that. There is plenty of capacity of water and sewer capacity in the town of Alpine to take care of even a high-density use of this property.
But what did you plan to put there, though?
Well, I'm not planning to do anything. I'm representing the owner. I think that some of that is yet to be decided. The discussion is obviously with MRC is some kind of a mix of multifamily and commercial. And one of the buyers of some of that property, I think, is looking at it as commercial establishment. Long stay, a motel, actually. And I think you'll find that sewer and water requirements are met easily by the town of Alpine system that is around this property.
And to clarify, when the development stage happens, there will be a planning and review process that happens when there's specifics to the development, and all those things will have to be reviewed independently for whatever they're proposing on the property. So this, we kind of look at holistically, bringing that parcel, how will they connect, where will they connect into the system, what will it cost them to connect. But in truth, it's basically meaningless in some respects until plans come before planning and zoning.
True,
Yes.
but I don't want to be short-sighted and say, sure, come on
Yeah.
in.
No,
And we have
absolutely.
No clue what they're going to put.
Yeah, and so I can speak to that just briefly without that's an engineering exercise that they do. We're only using half or less than half of our wastewater treatment plant, and we have a lot of capacity in water. So, but we do know that that's an engineering exercise that we need to do for every development.
Yes.
And that we, as the town of Alpine, I think I don't mean to speak for the council, but I think they're all concerned about looking forward 10, 15 years. The shorter term stuff, we know we can handle it, but as the town grows, we have to be able to grow that system in a way that doesn't burden the already existing residents of the town of Alpine.
Right, because water already was at a premium over the summer when one of the wells went down.
Yeah.
And that was with the people that are in town right now, not counting a new hotel that's opening.
Yeah.
Right, I think I can help with this
Yeah.
just a little bit. So the town is currently planning how we're gonna utilize all of our water resources in the future, and we're going through that exercise. There is a huge well, it's called the mega well, that is right now running at 20% capacity. The town has to invest in a larger pump that'll pump 2,400 gallons a minute sort of thing. And so all those things are in process, but right now, the engineers looked at it and there will not be any capacity problem. We have currently running at 30% capacity on our sewer treatment plant. And that building is designed where it could be easily doubled in capacity. We're using half of the footprint, we could easily double the size of it. So capacity is not going to be a problem. This annexation, whatever density they want to put on it, will not tax the current system the way it's designed. With that being said, we are considering an annexation ordinance for the town of Alpine that would require, before it even gets to this point, having a much better idea of what is going on this property.
Yes.
So right now, we don't have the tool that you're asking for. But we realize it's an issue, and we are taking that step to make sure we have that tool going forward. So that's one of our high priorities. We've already met regarding that, and hopefully in the near future, I would say in the first quarter of next year, we will have that in place. And if anyone has any questions on that, or like to have a say in what that looks like, there's going to be 3 readings of that ordinance, so you'll have plenty of time to voice your concerns in the near future. So,
Yeah.
yes, Mr. Sherbel, please.
Just to summarize a little bit.
Yep.
On uses. So basically, as you annex this as an MRC, any of the uses listed under your zoning ordinance would be allowed. And that is commercial businesses as well as multifamily residential. It can be higher density or lower density, as I understand your zoning now. And so the uses would be certainly very applicable to that ordinance now. There would not be anything outside of that. As to the future, I don't know exactly what's going to be happening, but as the mayor and the clerk indicated, this has to come back each time there's some further development. It comes back to the Planning and Zoning Board, and then public hearings and council and public hearings, and they're looking at this. They're even diving in more. Here, there's no question about capacity in my mind, or the town's engineer or our engineer. There's plenty of capacity in the town of Alpine for sewer and water. I don't know of any shortage of capacity in Lower Valley. Obviously, in a cold winter, sometimes it gets turned off for us a little while, and we don't like that, but we have the most inexpensive rates in the country right now, so we're very benefited. Silver Star has great capacity. They're trying to expand fiber in what I call the Lower Valley from Thane north. They've already done that in the Upper Valley, and so we really have a lot of good features both here in Alpine and the other communities in Star Valley when it comes to infrastructure.
And to be completely transparent, from my point of view, this is exactly the part of town that should have the density compared to other places in town. That's my opinion, but this is already in a commercial type district. It's right at the junction. So to me, that's where the density should be, instead of deeper into, any of these subdivisions. I'd much rather see the density or a hotel out here by the road versus deeper in, away from the highway. That's my opinion.
Thanks.
Any more public comment?
Mr. Sherbel.
I have the letter from Zai Hafeez that I've told her I would read.
Okay, please.
I'm going to skip some of the niceties, but so it says, it seems that Mr. Rehman Hafeez has not been a supportive neighbor for the development of our area. He repeatedly refused to grant easement to the town of Alpine to put a sewer system beneath his property. It resulted in the following. The town of Alpine had to spend more money and put more costly access under the main highway. Mr. John Lotshaw of Bugling Elk, a neighbor directly to the south of her property, and a neighbor to Mr. Hafeez, had to incur extra cost to get access to the sewer lines beneath the highway for his new development of Elk Meadows. More recently, Mr. Hafeez hijacked a sale in progress for my property, Zyland Lot 1, at the 24th hour for himself. The reason given by my buyer to my agent was the access to the sewer lines beneath the highway. Ironically, Mr. Hafeez was directly the one responsible for the problem in the first place. When Mr. Lotshaw of Bugling Elk needed me to donate some of my land on the south side of my property to the town of Alpine so Bugling Elk could proceed with its development, I was happy to do so, even though I'm not part of the town of Alpine yet. Why? Because that's what good neighbors do. I am hoping that the town of Alpine can make a contingency on Mr. Hafeez's acceptance into the town of Alpine that he allows underground access for necessary utilities to the town of Alpine for the benefit of the whole community's development. She said since she's not an attorney, she doesn't know if that's a viable option, but she wanted to make that request on the record.
Thank you, Monica.
You're welcome.
Any other public comment?
Eric, I have one quick question.
Yes, sir.
So,
Do you mind coming up to the microphone, please? Give us your name if you don't mind.
hi, I'm Lynn Ferguson. My question is, I think I know the answer, but I want to be sure. So the Hafeez annexation would be grandfathered into whatever that listing of the abilities to develop that ground would be. I mean, he's not going to be subject to your future amendment. Is that right?
Be subject to MRC.
He would be subject to our land use development code, so, which we just updated, in any future updates, until they get the building permit, they will be reliant upon the most current land use development code. So right now, if they come in as MRC, they are restricted by that, what MRC says. If in the next 3 months, we updated the land use development code to say MRC is something different, they would have to be put in that box, stay within that box as well. So right now, in MRC, they can build a 45-foot tall building, 3-story, and you could have 3 stories of, you could actually have now housing on the top 2 floors, and the bottom floor would have to be commercial completely. So that's one of the stipulations that we just changed. So hopefully that answers your question.
Well, and just a little bit, if you can help me just a
Yes.
little bit further. You're proposing a future amendment that would, when we come to this point, that people, developers or whoever's changing something would have to come with the intended use of that property. Is that
Exactly.
true?
Yep. Yeah, so down the road, that's what we want to see, is actually maybe a set of plans when we get to this point. That's what, I think the pushback in the past has been, well, we don't know what we're gonna do for that property, but we wanna come into the town because it's advantageous. We wanna use their utilities, and we need to hook up to their sewer to have the density we want. You know, we're finding that a lot right now. So, yeah, at this point, yeah, they definitely need to come into the town to put the density that they want on that property.
I think that'd be a great thing because, and, for instance, is this apartment building that's on the other side of Alpine Meadows. We had no idea. And they didn't come to that annexation meeting with the plan that this is what we're gonna put up.
That's exactly right. Yep,
So I think it'd be a good thing for Alpine.
we agree. Here,
Thank
here.
you,
Thanks,
Lynn.
Lynn.
Yeah, our statutory requirements have been very minimum, and we have not asked for master plans, development plans. We're gonna be asking a lot more questions moving forward and filling some of those loopholes, because I can only speak for myself, but as a council member, my duty is to safeguard the town, make sure that there's transparency, make sure that residents nearby or within the town understand what an annexation impact is going to be down the line. So those are definitely questions that we need to start implementing moving forward, which is why I appreciate Mr. Sherbel, you coming forward and talking about some of the buyer situations. I know Mr. Cottom had mentioned possibly multiple buyers. The last time that Ray Hafeez had come in to talk about the possibility of annexation in this development, he did bring a possible buyer with him, and that, that buyer proposed something like the concept of an Econo Lodge. So I think residents here appreciate just the in good faith divulging information as to proposed development in the future, just so this isn't some vacant idea that we can't really make a decision on beyond statute, like for the town to know as much as possible. So thank you for sharing that.
Any other public comment? Yes, Mr. Cottom.
I'd like to go last unless but it doesn't look like anybody else wants to.
Yes, please. Yep.
Mayor, okay, thank you very much. For the record, I'm Dale Cottom. I'm an attorney with an office in Afton, but I live in outside Thane, and I represent a lot of landowners and business people up here in Alpine. I represent Mr. Hafeez. I'm working with Marlo Sherbel together to accomplish this annexation. I just wanted to make a couple of points. First of all, I'd like to respond to the letter that you received from Zai Hafeez. If I'd like a copy, if I could, please.
Absolutely.
These two individuals were married at some point in time. They were divorced some time ago, and I think just want to make sure that Ms. Hafeez Zai is speaking from that perspective. The comments, as I listened to them, did not, I didn't hear any that spoke to Wyoming Statute 15-1-402, which are the findings that the town must make before it can approve an annexation. So I don't think the letter is relevant. It may provide some perspective, like I said, a little bit of history, but it's not, I didn't hear anything that would bear upon your decision or be a consideration that you would need. The other point I wanted to make is that generally speaking, annexations are a win-win. They're a win for the town for a number of reasons. Taxes, the benefit of taxes, but also because you have more control over how the property's developed. This property will be developed. Eventually it will be developed, whether it's going to stay in the county or whether it comes into the town, whether it comes in now, whether it comes in later, it will be developed. And for anyone who lives in the town of Alpine, I don't, but I would love to. It's a beautiful community, and I might live here someday. But if you do live in the town of Alpine, if that is annexed, then you have more control over what happens in your community. And as it comes in, your town council has that control. You've got a very good development code, and you've got a very responsible inspection program and inspectors and building permit process that's well developed and well thought out, and those would benefit everyone in this process when the property is eventually developed. So it's a win-win for everybody, especially considering that the property is going to be developed someday. There's no question about that. So, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to make those 2 points. Be happy to answer any other questions any questions that council might have or otherwise.
I just have one quick question. We have talked about easements, and I know easements on this property or through this property have been a kind of a sticking point in the past. And I just want to see if your client has had interest in giving the town the easements that we desire.
And so I can tell you 2 things tonight. One, under a prior administration or a prior mayor, Mr. Hafeez was seeking 2 accesses off Wintergreen, and there was some correspondence back and forth, and it wasn't real clear exactly what had been offered or promised or established. And so, one of the things I was trying to do was confirm and solidify that for 2 access off of Wintergreen. During those discussions, the mayor at the time and the council asked about an east-west easement for sewer. And as I think everyone knows, Mr. Hafeez resisted that. That was not something that he was willing to entertain. Time has gone by. There's been interest in the property by other potential buyers. And as I stand here right now, I can't tell you what his position is, but I think we all know that in the past he did resist that. But I think that in between readings of the ordinance, obviously we need to discuss this, and we're ready to do that. So.
As far as the 2 accesses off of Wintergreen, YDOT has had a lot to say about that in the past, and I think there's restrictions as far as where the accesses can be. I think the most logical access is the one directly across from the clinic, but I don't know. Somebody else would have to tell us.
Right.
That. We'll get YDOT involved in that. But, yeah, I don't know about past administrations, how it worked, but I'm not smart enough to give someone some promise of some access. So that's not going to happen from here right now. But
It's not an issue tonight, is it,
okay,
Mayor?
I don't think it is. But we will have plenty of time to discuss that in the future. But anyways, appreciate you.
Thank you, Mayor.
And maybe we'll talk to you a little bit more during the special meeting.
Okay, very good.
Any other public comment?
So-
We don't need to have any
No.
comment from me.
So- For point of clarification, and because of what happened recently with a subdivision, a simple subdivision, where the communication that came back to council did not wholly support that it was vetted, the criteria for that subdivision, I have created a checklist to make sure that you guys have all entertained it before we close this hearing. So the criteria is, and if anybody thinks that the criteria has not been met, now's the time to let me know.
Where are you reading?
So I'm reading, it's in your agenda, but I'm reading it from my
Oh, okay.
checklist.
Oh,
So
okay.
this.
So it's the annexation of the areas for the protection of the health, safety, and welfare of the persons residing in the area, and that's the area to be annexed, and in the city or town. That the urban development of the area sought to be annexed would constitute a natural, geographical, economical, and social part of annexing the annexing city or town. That the area sought to be annexed is a logical and feasible addition to the annexing city or town, and that the extension of basic and other services customarily available to the residents of the town within reason will be available to the area proposed to be annexed. The area sought to be annexed is contiguous with or adjacent to the annexing city or town. If the town does not own or operate the electric utility, that you're willing to give one or more franchises as necessary to serve the annexed area.
Is that just to
So, yeah.
clarify that's Lower Valley obviously will
Yes,
supply?
and they were notified.
Okay.
So, and then it says that not less than 20 days, which I've already taken
Yeah,
care of.
I think-
The notification.
I think we've checked all the boxes.
Okay.
Do you agree, Councilman?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
With that being said, no further public comment. I will recess the public hearing, adjourn the public hearing, excuse me. Madam Clerk, are we ready just to move right into
You
the?
may go ahead.
Okay. With that being said, I will call to order the special meeting for Town Council, December 5th, 2023. And first order of business is we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Madam Clerk?
Okay, Councilman Larson, are you present?
Here,
Councilman Dickerson?
Here.
Mayor Green?
Here.
Councilman Castillo?
Here.
And Councilman Burchard?
Here.
Mayor Green, you have a quorum of the council with all members present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The only item on the agenda tonight is the first reading of the ordinance number 2023-09, which is the annexation of the Hafeez property. I'll let you take it from here.
Yep, so this evening we have ordinance number 2023-09, Town Boundaries, an ordinance annexing certain land to the town of Alpine and approving the Rehman Hafeez annexation to the town of Alpine.
Has everyone had a chance to read the draft ordinance?
yes.
I will say, from the copy I sent you yesterday, there is a slight change I should make you aware of. So in the historical ordinances that I copied the last one and created this ordinance, and that's what I sent you. When I reviewed it, and I did consult with Jim, I've changed section 6 from the version I sent you. It now states, this ordinance shall become effective on the passage of the third and final reading, not less than 20 business days following the public hearing on December 5th. The copy that you were sent, that was copied from the last one, says it'll be effective 20 days after the hearing, which it can't be effective till after the third reading. So, yep. So it's corrected.
Thank you.
That's section 6.
Yeah, section 6. Go ahead.
And so it now, is this being corrected, or is this,
That's the old one.
okay.
This is the old draft.
Yep. What you have in front of you and what everybody has from the packet is the correct one. I believe.
Would you like to go up and ask what was your question?
Mr. Sherbill, do you have something?
Why don't we put it on the table?
Let's,
Just in discussing that paragraph, I guess.
hey, Mr. Sherbill, do you mind waiting just a second? I think we might have a motion.
Do a motion for first reading, ordinance number 2023-09, Hafeez annexation, an ordinance annexing certain land to the town of Alpine and approving the Hafeez annexation to the town of Alpine.
Second.
We have a motion, it's been seconded. Any discussion? Mr. Sherbill?
On item 6, is it correct? I'm thinking that 20 days after the 5th is the 25th of December. And I think there has to be 2 more readings.
Yeah, so
Those in January,
this
so I'm
copy
not-
was the original. It was copied from the ordinance that the previous clerk utilized.
I'm
I've changed the
I'm
language.
reading the last one that says this. Maybe I've got the wrong copy also.
Maybe I
This
gave you the wrong
ordinance shall
one.
become effective on the
Nope.
passage of the third and final reading.
Yep.
Not less than 20 days following the public hearing on December 5th.
Correct.
Tells me that it's approved on the 25th of December.
No.
No, not less than.
No, so
So not less than.
it's in reference to the state statute, which says that the ordinance that the annexation cannot be effective less than 20 days after the hearing.
Clarified my question.
Is it business days, or is it days?
20 business days, so, yeah, 20 business days.
Okay, so that means we've got, it's basically.
So it's actually about 30 days without a holiday.
It's unlimited, basically.
Yeah, it could go on for.
I mean, I don't know under what circumstance you would hold the public hearing like at the third reading, but I suppose it's always going to be more than 20 business days, the way we do it.
No, I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
I just wanted to clarify that, Mike.
Okay. Mr. Cottam,
I had a question on the ordinance.
please.
I'm not sure this affects what you're approving tonight or the text, but on page 2, we recite when the various readings would be. Should that say second reading on December 19th and third and
Oh,
final?
you're right, thank you, that's
On
a
the-
typo.
Yeah, on the,
It's not the 19th,
It's the 17th, isn't it?
the 16th.
on page
No,
2 at the bottom,
19th.
when it says the readings?
Yeah, it's December 19th.
Yeah, right there,
And
the bottom of
then
that
January
page.
16th.
Yep.
Thank you, you
Yep,
caught
you're
my
welcome.
typo.
Uh-huh, you bet you will.
Appreciate it, Dale.
I guess we should see if there's any other changes we want to make, and then we can make an amendment to the ordinance.
I'll just put it for second.
Yeah, I can change it for the second reading.
Okay,
But read through it, let me know.
okay. Any other questions or comments? I want to get the feeling for the town council on this before we go too far. Anyone up here have comments?
I'll go first, I guess.
Go for it.
So just to let everybody know, for me, what annexations are about, specifically, is essentially taking property from the county and putting it in the town where we have more control. We established that currently it is mixed rural by the county, which gives more leeway. It's similar to MRC, but there's other little things that, for instance, the county doesn't have a snow load. So that's something that the town does have. There's other little innuents, but it's about bringing that control in regardless what they build. They stay in the county, they build to the county specs, the county oversees it. They come to the town, and as we've stated, it goes under, right now, MRC, and it goes through our P&Z process, it goes through our inspection process, and worst case scenario, it comes to here, and we all get together as a community with pitchforks and whatever and say, hey, we don't like this. So I'm always, not always, I'm more than likely welcome any annexation piece. There are some, I'll say it's not, sometimes it may not be a true win-win, as Dell said, because depending on what the project does bring, it could mean, does the town need to hire more staff? Does the town need to hire or purchase more equipment to take care of this area, specifically emergency services, streets and roads? So we kind of look at that too. But again, coming back to it's in town control, and so we can look at it that way. This is first reading. There's 3 readings. How that works, first readings, we find the little nuances that need to be changed, updated, such as dates, such as section 6, and then we change that for the second reading, and we go through this process all over again. So I would also say for the second reading, I know I would like to see, after everything, as Marlo stated, that I've been working with Silver Star and all the utility easements up on the hill. Gail, I would like to see some type of a utility easement or easements solidified before third reading for sure. That's my side of things. Other than that, that's all I have.
Councilman Dickerson, do you have anything to add?
I do not.
Okay. I think this is definitely a win-win. It's, with what they're suggesting they want to put on at least part of the property, that's going to bring in tax revenue. It's going to bring in lodging tax revenue that's near and dear to your heart. It's potentially gonna have hotel rooms that people can stay in for a long period of time. So I think it is definitely a win-win. That's kind of my opinion, but do you have anything to add, Councilman Castillo?
I'm just hoping that we can gather more information on capacity, because obviously, when you're looking at annexation into a town, you're looking at plateaus. So right now, with the information that we have on our utility capacity, is something that could be this dense, something that we can handle in the long term. We have to look at infrastructure costs. I just want to make sure that we ask those questions moving forward, that we're not reaching another plateau unnecessarily. So the more information, the better. I would welcome learning as much as I could about what the proposals for this development would be.
Thank you. Councilwoman Burchard, do you have anything to add?
I agree with Jeremy. I like seeing properties annexed so that we have control and oversight on what's going to be put there.
Yep, agreed. I guess I would say, even if we could, Mr. Cottam, if we could get some idea of potential easements before the next reading, that might be kind of a quick turnaround, but if you could at least maybe start that communication, that'd be great. And definitely work through the clerk, and then she'll disseminate the information. You can always copy me on things, but yeah, I think it'd be great to have a good idea of that, and let's work on Silver Star for sure. It sounds like it would be a hero shot to get lot number 1 in on this as well, but I would, if we could, yes, Mr. Sherwood?
Would you like us to do the contact?
If you wouldn't mind, it would be great.
No problem.
Yeah. I figure while we're here doing this, let's see if we can kill 3 birds with 1 stone. Yeah. It will be a Hail Mary, but let's go for it. I think there was one other point. Oh, I would like to see, before the 3rd reading, definitely a sketch plan. I think the public would enjoy at least having an idea of what they're thinking about putting on there. I know it's not required, but it would be nice to see something if that's at all possible. So that would be, I would hope by the 3rd reading, that would be in January. Any other comments? No further comments. With that being said, all those in favor on first reading of ordinance number 2023-09, say aye.
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 Okay. Ordinance passed on first reading. Anything else you'd like to add, Madam Clerk?
Special meeting, there's only one subject.
Okay. I didn't know if you wanted to sneak something in.
No, I mean, you could stay for a work session if you
No,
like.
I think
It's been advertised.
I think we've had plenty of long meetings, but
Well, Merry Christmas to me.
if there's no further comment, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
There's been a motion, it's been seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. All right, thank you. You can turn off your mic.